Hello! Welcome to this video. Sometimes I do follow through on my promises in a prompt fashion. And today is one of those days because we're doing a thing I talked about a while ago on stream where I wanted to do, sort of a shiny predictions video for the Pokemon we've seen in Scarlet and Violet. This isn't all of the Pokemon. I'm going to make a part 2. This is basically from the first trailer, and I think the second trailer, and then Cyclozar, if I'm remembering correctly, the order of things. I'm just going to be explaining them to you, and we'll go like this. So let me just show you Sprigatito to start. From left to right, this is the order of things, right? On the your furthest left, you have like regular Sprigatito. The second shiny in the row is my prediction for what I think they'll actually do. Generally, this will be based on like trends from other shinies or the past. The third one is something they could do. In this case with Sprigatito, it's the black and white shiny because I think Sprigatito is going to be the shiny or the starter they are pushing more this generation. So they might give it, the coolest shiny colors. And then the final one is what I would personally do for the shiny if I was designing it. Sometimes these categories get a little bit muddled because what I think they're going to do is also what I would do. So I'll let you know when that happens. But for now, let's just talk about Sprigatito. So often grass types get this shiny where they kind of just they look like dead plants. It's supposed to be like autumn colors. So that's sort of what I was going for with what I think they'll do with Sprigatito shiny, which is the second one in the row here. I carried over the green eyes, or I made the eyes green to carry over the color from regular Sprigatito. I think it looks pretty good. I would not be upset with this one. By the way, you'll have to excuse some of the crustiness on some of them, because turning the light colors dark and the dark colors light doesn't always turn out so good. It's much easier to, just change the hue. I say that because the next one is a little crunchy, but the black and white shiny, I could see it applying here for Sprigatito. There's also a chance they just do something like Incineroar where they make a certain part of the Pokemon like black or white. But I don't know. We'll see. Out of the three starters, I do think Sprigatito is going to be like the cool, edgy one. So I have a feeling that this shiny could be possible. I wanted to leave the red eyes because they kind of fit. Although I think if it was actually going to be Game Freak making it, they'd probably change them. And then on the end here, we have the one that I personally made that I think looks good. It's sort of a different take on the fall colors. Usually we get these sort of brownish orange leaves. I wanted to do one with red leaves because that's the best color for the fall trees. I don't know, that's what I think anyway. And also the sort of amber orange eyes to reference the orange leaves they usually use for these kinds of shinies. I think it looks good. I'm very partial to red and blue shinies, so you might kind of see that as time goes on here, but I promise I tried not to do that for everything. Anyway, next up we have Fuecoco. Fuecoco is a tough one because its body is basically just one color, and I think that's all the shiny will change. As you can see, the one I made here is a very slight alteration, and I really do think that's what they're going to go for. Usually this happens with the water shinies, where they'll be like minty blue instead of just straight up blue. I think it could work here with Fuecoco and go a little bit orange, so it looks like a habanero pepper, as opposed to red pepper. I was going to say jalapeno, but those are green, like the next one here, which they could also do to reference a different kind of pepper. Either of these two, the green and the orange, are pretty much interchangeable, like either way. I just thought the orange makes more sense because it's a less drastic alteration. But the green also does make some sense because Fuecoco is a crocodile. Crocodiles are green, and there are also green spicy peppers. It works. But really, I think all they're going to change is the body color. I don't think they're actually going to do what I did at the end here, which was just make a more vibrant green and then change the yellow parts to red. They could do that, but I would not count on it. Generally, these sort of like effects, like the fire effects or who else? Like smoke or ghostly energy. Generally, those don't change color. It'll just be the Pokemon's actual body. So I have a feeling that's going to stay yellow, but we'll see. Next, of course, to round out the starters is Quaxly, my personal favorite. I'm not sure they'll actually do this, but I did give it the sort of default water shiny colors. If you don't know, generally a lot of Pokemon shinies for water types change out blue for purple, and this is just that. I changed the beak color to be a little bit darker, like very minorly, because generally that'll happen on Pokemon like this as well. We'll see if that happens. I don't know. Next up is it's an inverse of the colors that Quaxly normally has. The lighter blue is now in its eyes, and the darker blue is now on its hat and feet. This is actually my personal favorite. I know the next one's supposed to be the one that I would make, but honestly, I think this is what I would do for this shiny. It just looks so good. And it's a big enough change from the original that you notice it, but it's not too crazy, you know? And then finally, we have this red version of Quaxly, which I made to look like a life preserver. Honestly, I wish they would have used this for Wingull shiny, because it makes more sense for Wingull. But hey, they could do it here. The oranger beak, I do think that might happen, even if they do only slightly change the blues. But I don't know. I'm a big fan of the slight change on this one. I think it actually works. So after those three, now we go to sort of the the staples of the generation. I don't think we've seen the generation's bird yet, now that I think about it. But let's start with the Pikachu clone, which is Pawmi. Generally, Pikachu clones don't stray too far from Pikachu's colors, but Pawmi does, which is interesting. I guess the Dene did as well, which we'll get to in a second. So the shiny that I did for what I think they'll do is just referencing Pikachu's colors. We'll see. I mean, it's also just an inverse of the yellow cheeks and the orange skin. They're literally just swapping. So there's that as well for evidence that that could possibly happen. Who knows? It could be anything, but I think that's probably what might happen. We'll see. Speaking of the Dene earlier, the Dene shiny turns this sort of chocolatey brown, and Pawmi looks pretty good with it as well. I'm not really sure what sort of animal Pawmi's based on, maybe like a guinea pig or something, so maybe that sort of aligns with its possible colorations. I don't know. I just kind of like the color combination. And Pawmi already had the sort of tannish white color on its design already, so this is just sort of, you know, accentuating that. And then finally, for the one I made, it's probably got the least changes of any of them, but it's just pink. It's sort of made to look like Audino, and the reason is because of a leak. So if you don't want to hear it, cover your ears for like, I don't know, 10 seconds. Just press the skip button for 10 seconds in 3, 2, 1. Pawmi's got a mover that revives Pokemon, so it's like a healer. Okay, I think we should be good now. But yeah, it's nice. We'll see. It could happen, but probably not. I don't know. That's what I would do. Next is Lechonk, and there's some crunchiness here as well in the creations here. I don't see Lechonk becoming a vibrant color. I also don't see the little yellow under its eye changing color, but I could be wrong on that. The first one we have here just makes Lechonk pink. It's basically switching the nose and face color almost. Like the nose goes to the body and then the face color goes to the nose. Obviously Lechonk is a pig, it's more of a wild pig, which is why it's black in the first place. But to reference pigs, it could go pink. It'd probably be a brighter pink. It's just the tool I was using didn't look good if I did that. I don't know. It makes sense. Sort of like Wooloo being a black sheep, right? Turning Lechonk into a regular pink pig does make sense. I don't know if that's the direction they'll go, though. Which is why these next two are both sort of my versions, almost, or like things that I don't think they'll do, but I like. This first one here, perhaps this one should be at the end, really. It goes white because it starts off as black. A lot of Pokemon that have their main body color being black turn to white, and the inverse as well when they go into their shiny form, like Wooloo. I just like that's a good example. And given that Lechonk is known for sniffing out herbs, I gave it sort of a green nose and such, because I don't know, its nose is covered in herbs. The purple face just looks good with the white. I could see them maybe going white. I don't know if they'd go the full extra mile here to change the rest of the colors on the nose and stuff, but I do think that it looks good. And then finally, sort of a subtle change to just change Lechonk's body to be brown, and then the nose turns white. This one's my personal favorite. If they do something like this, it'll be pretty nice. I'm a bit of a sucker for a good subtle shiny, and I think this one's a pretty good candidate, because while the main body color doesn't change all that much, the accents do change a lot, and I think that really makes a subtle shiny. So yeah. Next is Smoliv, and this one's just, there's a few things it could be, and that's about it. So we've got a more traditional olive green Smoliv with the sort of, what do they call that? Menzila? The little piece of whatever, the red, whatever. You know what I'm talking about. I don't eat olives that often, okay? But it's sort of referencing, you know, actual olives. And then we have a black olive with a brown, I guess that's a flower? I'm not entirely sure. Which is actually referencing like the pit of an olive. I think actually like the part I'm coloring to look like the olive is the olive tree, and the thing on the top is actually the olive itself. But in order to make them look like olives, I still think the shiny color will change the body to be the color of the olive, and then the top to be, you know, the color of the filling of the olive. And then the final one here is just a red olive. This isn't like the one I think looks best necessarily. It's just, it can be one of these three. These are the three primary types of olives. I imagine it'll be one of these three with some sort of filling. This topper, I forgot to change it. It's supposed to be white to reference like garlic stuff and olives, but you get the gist. It's gonna look like an olive one way or another. I know it will. I think the slightly more olive green with the red top is the most likely, but the black olive could work too. Next is fan favorite Fido, and in honor of its name, sort of, Five-Do? Is there anything there? I did five. There's five. Well, actually, there's four, because the fifth one is just the normal version, but there's 5 dogs about to be on your screen, okay? Here's the original 4, and then here's the extra one, which is just sort of naked. We'll get to that. So the first one I have here is pretty subtle. I don't think they're going to go too crazy with Fido because it's sort of like a cute design. I don't know if they'll, you know, really change the body color even. The accent color is probably what's going to change the most. So the first one here is just a sort of darker version. The yellow goes to sort of an orangey color, or golden brown, you could say, you know, wink. And then the body just goes a little bit darker or more saturated, whatever you want to say. The second one here is literally the exact same body color. I just changed the, what would you call that? Topping, I guess, to be pink colored to sort of look like sugar cookies. That's what it looks like to me, or cupcakes or whatever. I could see them going this way because it is a cute Pokemon that's definitely made to be cute. So I could see them using pink. Think like Bunnery. I know there's more of them, but I can only think of Baniri right now. Anyway, think a shiny like that. That's sort of what we're referencing. And then finally, the one that I don't think they'll do, but would be pretty nice, is a chocolate-flavored Fido with white frosting or whatever the hell that is. I really don't think they'll do it. But if they do, it'll be definitely a shiny to hunt for. So let's hope. And then the last one is stupid. This was on the way to creating the chocolate version at the end here. Because I changed the topping color. And then I was like, oh, it looks like an undercooked Fido. And I was like, you know what? They might do that. It's silly and kind of gross looking, but they could do that. Be kind of another reason to hunt for it, because it is a pretty funny shiny that way. I think it's better than the pink coloring, honestly. I don't know. It's silly, but I had to include it because it's so... it could happen. And then finally for today, we have Cyclizar. Cyclizar's hard, you know? Because really the only color that you can change is the green. I don't think they're going to change the color of the padding, like the black pads for the bicycle tires and all that. I don't think they're going to do that. And if they do, it'll be extremely subtle. So it's, you know... all you can really change is the little cheek and then the green skin. So I went with a subtle shiny again, sort of a more bright green, and then the orange cheek, which I guess is supposed to be sort of like a reflector, right, on a bike. I just made it more yellow. It'd probably be a more vibrant color of yellow if it was actually, you know, the shiny, but the tool wouldn't let me do that without it looking horrible. But that's the basic idea. It's just like a brighter version. Kind of boring, but, you know... I don't think I'm alone in thinking that Cyclizar sort of resembles our bicycle legendaries this generation. So this is a version based on Kuraidon. Given that Miraidon is the future, I guess it wouldn't probably reference that form, because if this is the evolved form of Kuraidon, then it would have been Kuraidon before, but it hasn't been Miraidon yet. So if it was going to reference one of them, it would have to be Kuraidon from the past. And this is that. It's a reference to Kuraidon. I don't think they'll do it, because it would be a preference of one of the box legendaries over the other, which they would never like to do that. If they did do it, they would have to like have another Pokemon reference Miraidon. I don't think they would. I don't think they'd go to the effort. But it does look kind of good. I'm a sucker for red and blue, as I said. And then finally, this is just a very bland but, you know, noticeable change, which makes Cyclizar brown with a green cheek to reference its original coloration. Like I said, you can't really do too much crazy stuff with Cyclizar. Sure, you can, like, change its color to purple, but I don't think that's really feasible, and it doesn't really look good either. So, yeah. And that's what I've got for you so far. Oh, wait. I forgot about Cetitan. Okay, so Cetitan. This one's also really hard. Because Cetitan is white. So does it go dark? That was my first take here, where basically the only difference is that the white turns to sort of this dark gray. Maybe. It does look good with the pink, right? But I don't know if they'll actually do that. I don't know what they'll do at all, actually, but let's continue. The second one here is maybe my favorite, I think. This sort of bluish, icy blue color with the minty green color to reference its ice typing. It's pretty much all it is. I changed the gray on its belly to be a little bit more greenish to sort of fit with the color scheme. I don't think they'll do this. I really don't think they will, but it looks all right, right? It's definitely noticeable change, even though it's more slight than the other one. And then finally, we have sort of a middle ground between the two, which is a sort of lighter tan main color, with the gray turning into sort of a dark gray, the same as the second one on the list here, and then the sort of icy blue for the highlights. Maybe. This one's sort of based off of the shinies for like Togepi, or not Togepi. Togepi's is nothing, but Togetic and Togekiss, which sort of barely change from white to sort of this creamy white, I guess. Like, I don't know how else to say it. And then the blue to reference the ice type. That's pretty much all I got. I don't know what they'll do for Titan, really. I guess we'll have to see. So, on that note, thank you all for watching today's video. I will get back to you before the game comes out, I promise, with the other half, which will include the legendaries, as well as, oh no, I lost my folder. The legendaries, Cloth, Wiglet, Wooper, Grafii, the 2 armors, and Bellybolt, as well as I guess I could do Grievard, or Grievard? I don't quite remember. It just came out. But I could do that. Little Doggy too. I don't really know if much is going to change on Grievard, if I'm being honest. But hey, what do you think the shinies will be? Do you think I got close at all? Do you like any of them? Which one is your favorite? We'll go with that. And yeah, thanks for watching the video. Like, subscribe, you know the jazz, and I will see you next time. Bye-bye.